I dare you to go to the doctor and get a blood test. The next day, try whole food plant-based for a month, and then go to the doctor afterward, get a blood test, and you'll be shocked at the difference. So if you go without salt for 7 days, and then you try a French fry on day 7, it will be the saltiest thing you've ever tried, even if it's from the same restaurant or wherever. Food service professionals at schools don't get as much credit as they should. The only person a kid sees every single day from 1st grade to 8th grade is the people that are in the kitchen. So the influence that food service worker can have on kids through food is huge. But being open to failure, I think, is probably the best thing you can possibly do for yourself in cooking, in gardening, and in life. My name is Dan Marek. I'm Director of Plant-Based Culinary for Rouxbe.com, online culinary school, and this is The Layered Onion. Now, at Whole Foods, as that healthy eating specialist, I started a couple other branches from there. One of them was I became a private chef for John Mackey, the CEO, and specifically did more of his bigger parties and gatherings. And it was 100% whole food plant-based. So started a catering company that lasted for about 12 years. That was 100% vegan, 100% whole food plant-based. I also was hired by a foundation that was run by Whole Foods Market called Whole Kids Foundation. And Whole Kids Foundation was a dream job for me. Whole Kids Foundation really sought to be able to give kids more access to healthy foods and to educate them about them at the same time. There were 3 branches. One of them was giving salad bars to schools, which we had a great partner in Chef Ann Foundation to be able to give salad bars to schools. There was another one that was a garden grant process, so we gave garden grants to schools. It was a $2,000 garden grant. And then the program that I designed was called the Healthy Teachers Program. And the Healthy Teachers Program was designed to be able to make educators better informed about nutrition to become better mentors to kids through food. And it was a free 2-hour training that I would give, and I actually hired health eating specialists across the country to go into schools and to give education on what basic nutrition is, and how to cook that in your own home. I then developed another program on top of the Healthy Teachers Program called the Healthy Staff Program. And the Healthy Staff Program trained cooks in schools, so food service professionals in schools, on best practices of nutrition for those kids, but also how to go back to scratch cooking in the school environment. So at that time, it was right when the Obamas went into the office, and Michelle Obama launched the Let's Move initiative and really looked at what was happening in school food and saw there were more box cutters than chef knives. And so I went into schools. I trained probably about 15 different school districts from Boston to San Francisco to Austin, Texas, all over the country, and trained every food service professional on different ways to make their job easier as a chef. Food service professionals at schools don't get as much credit as they should. The only person a kid sees every single day at a school through their career from 1st grade to 8th grade is the people that are in the kitchen, because they walk through that line every single day. They change teachers every year, but the food service worker is there every single day. So the influence that food service worker can have on kids through food is huge. The health eating specialist position was fantastic. It was a great way for me to be able to have a platform to really hone my culinary skills, to go out into farmers markets, to meet farmers, to be able to really go out and meet the community where they were, and maybe bring them to Whole Foods, but really just trying to get more people to eat, in this whole food plant-based style. At the time, I was 100% vegan, but I never told people they had to be vegan. I've always been a firm advocate that you can be vegan, but you shouldn't tell other people they have to do that. They have the choice to be able to do whatever they want, just like any other thing in life. So was never preachy about food. I let people come to me and ask the questions, and if they wanted the answers, if I didn't have them, I'd find somebody else who did. But more than often than not, I would be able to help them on their culinary journey towards health. Often you will have somebody that is like, I am 100% in. I want to be able to convert my health through food. And the way I look at that now is you don't have to be whole food plant-based 100% of the time. Like, that's okay. Like, everybody can break the rules. If it's your birthday, have a piece of cake, right? That's fine. Be able to go outside of that constraint. The hard part is your day-to-day living and sticking to a guideline that you set for yourself. And I look at healthy eating as a lever, not a switch. You can't just switch it on and off, because if you say, I'm going to do this 100% tomorrow, you're more than likely going to fall off the wagon because you're not used to it. But if you look at it as a lever where you're slowly turning things over, you're going to have a better success rate at that. The same thing happens with your family members. So if you are like, okay, I'm going 100% whole food plant-based, that's great. But your husband, your kids might not be 100% on that journey with you to start out. So if you help them by making that lever, not a switch, you'll see that those gradual changes will happen within them on their own without you having to force the lever. I think that one of the bigger problems with people that are very like meat centric is eating greens, eating something green, right? For some reason, a lot of people are like, if it's green, I don't want anything to do with it. So start small. Say, okay, like, I understand that you don't want to eat greens. Let's put a small portion of greens on your plate and start with that. And then the next day, we're going to try a completely different kind of a green, right? So you can have something like a salad. That's fine. That's great. But you can also do something like a collard green. You could do something like a saag, right? Do a saag paneer. A wonderful way to be able to show the differences of greens and be able to have those into your diet. And then show how they can be more forward on the plate instead of kind of in the background through every meal. By putting different kinds of greens and things too, really helps people get out of their constraints. So I know kale has had its day, but if you took kale and you massaged it and opened up the pores a little bit and put a little acid into it, it actually isn't as bitter as it is raw, right? If you put avocado with that, it adds a fat element and adds a whole different thing to your mouth when you're eating it too. Now, if you took that, kale versus an arugula, a nice peppery kind of a thing, like even on pizza, if you just introduced, rocket or arugula to the top of a pizza, by adding that green, you're actually helping to convert them to see more greens in their diet. Now, on a day-to-day level, you might have somebody that's very meat-centric. And I lived in Texas for 20 years. I served the biggest ranchers, in the state and gave them a vegan potato salad and, a completely vegan meal. And their wives came up to me afterward and like, I need this recipe because my husband can't stop eating it. And it's not a steak, right? So it's like, those small victories are where you want to keep looking at. And that's in our own health as well, right? It's not just looking at our family members, but each of us need to be able to look at those areas to be able to make those changes happen. I think I'm probably most proud of the work that I did with Whole Kids Foundation. And
that's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, it really is. I loved working with Whole Kids Foundation. I think that it was one of the stars in the crown, basically, of Whole Foods Market. And when Amazon bought Whole Foods Market, that changed quite a bit. Now, all three of their foundations are lumped into one. A lot of the people have left, along with that, a lot of people have left, the same way I did. But the core basis of what that foundation did is still working today, still doing it. And we're seeing great changes in school food because of it. There's a movement in school food. And that movement in school food is much bigger than just the couple of districts that we focused on. It's all across the entire country. And that movement to go back towards scratch cooking is huge. Everybody wants to get there, but not everybody knows how to get there. And you have to tell them in that same way that it takes time to be able to get there. But I love being able to spotlight that relationships with farmers is a big part of that. That relationship with food is a big part of that. You have to be able to look at the bigger picture and look how you can influence a child through the nutrition and what you're feeding them. There's a big difference between French fries and nuggets to having a nice couscous salad and, a nice protein, and having a vegetarian option versus, just only meat centric. Like, you can't have pizza every single day. I think that really my passion is in education and really helping people to find their own way in food. I know a lot of people that, they say they couldn't boil water, right? But I think that everybody has the opportunity to be able to influence food in a positive way by spotlighting the things that they're passionate about. I was also a board member of Slow Food for 8 years, and we supported local farmers in the best way we possibly could. And I think that even now, as a board member for REAP, that those are the opportunities where we can show to be able, I love right now being able to spotlight local farms and partnerships to be able to get people more interested in local food and seasonality of food. Since moving from Texas to Wisconsin, I've had a little bit of a shift change where I can't just get things very easily as ingredients in the wintertime. So I planted a 30-foot by 20-foot garden in my backyard and planted as many tomato plants as I could fit in it so I could can them for the wintertime, right? So looking at things like that and looking at ways to be able to take the food cultures that I've picked up through the years and learn them myself in a new place and a new environment, I think is fantastic. And I think that everybody should have those kinds of learning environments for themselves. Explore food. Know that when you cook something, you might mess it up, and that's going to be okay. It's not going to be the end of the world if you burn a dish, if your tomato plant doesn't live. But being open to failure, I think, is probably the best thing you can possibly do for yourself in cooking, in gardening, and in life. Those are a little two different areas for me, to tell you the truth, because the submission that we did for the Shallot, that I did for the Shallot was, I can't remember who approached me on that, but
Probably Noah.
It was Noah. And I was working for the Madison, is it Madison Community College or Madison Technical College?
Madison College.
Okay. So I was...
But we all refer to it as MATC.
Yeah. So I was working an event at Madison College, and it was specifically a benefit for REAP. And I was doing a dish that was a lion's mane mushroom pressed down and marinated to mimic a steak. And you slice it, and it looks just like a steak. It has the flavor profile of a steak. It's a pretty amazing dish. And Noah came to me and asked if I would be willing to submit something for the Shallot, and wanted it to be elemental, is what he said. And so what I thought of right away was water and earth, and those being in my Beet Poke Bowl. So really looking at a Beet Poke Bowl, converting that over, and it's basically a marinated beet in what you would marinate the fish in, or put like a nice like ouzo sauce over it or something like that, and then serving that. And that's where that inspiration came from for the Beet Poke Bowl. This is the Shallot that has the Beet Poke Bowl featured in it. And it's just a nice, colorful dish that's a wonderful way to be able to approach, plant-based cooking and really get a huge variety of flavors out of it. So the base of it is actually a sushi rice. So it's a mix of a little bit of sugar, of vinegar, seaweed, and you cook that basically, but let it come to room temperature. Then you marinate the beets in dark soy, a little bit of sesame oil, and a bunch of different sauces. You marinate your beets in that, and then you plate that over the top, and then do fresh vegetables all around. I usually do a rainbow radish just for a pop of color, and I'll saute shiitake and then just a little bit of tamari as well too. So it's just got a nice bit of umami to it, but it also has a nice airiness and has the taste of the sea at the same time. I think that whole food plant-based living can transform your body in ways that you couldn't imagine. There are a lot of studies out there that will back me on that, but the best way is to do it yourself. Try it for a small amount of time, and it can make a big difference in your life. I think that through the meditative process of preparing your ingredients to start, creating your own dishes, looking for inspiration in others, but then also really enveloping it as a whole can help you medicinally from a mental state of the meditation to be able to graduate yourself onto the next level of what you can do culinary-wise, but then you will see the results in your health at the same time. I dare you to go to the doctor and get a blood test. The next day, try whole food plant-based for a month, and then go to the doctor afterward, get a blood test, and you'll be shocked at the difference. I think that's probably the best challenge that I could give somebody, is to say, try it. I can tell you until I'm blue in the face about the benefits of something, but nobody's going to believe you until they try it themselves. I always tell people with this, the salt aspect is a great example. So if you try a French fry on day one, and then you go without salt at all for 7 days, that's the same amount of time it takes your tongue to completely redevelop flavor. So if you go without salt for 7 days, and then you try a French fry on day 7, it will be the saltiest thing you've ever tried, even if it's from the same restaurant or wherever, because your palate has adapted. And your palate can adapt all kinds of different ways. And the healthier you eat, the more it will adapt to finding the brilliant flavors that are found in nature on their own. The less processed you can eat as an individual, the better your life will be health-wise. So you can find more about me at danmarek.com. You can find me on Instagram at danmarek, and that's DANMAREK. You can find all of our classes at rouxbe.com, which is ROUXBE.com. And those are all kinds of whole food plant-based courses to traditional culinary courses as well. I'm Dan Marek, Director of Plant-Based Culinary for Rouxbe.com, online culinary school, and this has been The Layered Onion.